Welcome everyone to part 2 of my Best of Next Fest 1023 showcase. We have more great demos and games you should definitely check out from the event. And with that, let's begin. For our first game of the showcase, this is Little Locked Rooms. And this is kind of a detective game by way of sort of like a visual novel. Think like Phoenix Wright CSI, I guess. We play as the children of a detective who is challenging them to use their deductive skills to solve a myriad of crimes and cases, all told and shown via these adorable little dioramas. The game itself is built around you answering various questions to help kind of deduce what happened in the case. Your only clues are going to be what the detective tells you and what you see on the diorama itself. This is a game that is not being designed around like a 20 to 40 hour long campaign, and each case is very linear. You'll get the same clues, same situations, there's no RNG here. So this is not going to be the game if you're looking for a lengthy investigation, but I did find it kind of cute to play and interesting. So if you're looking for some light and breezy investigations, then definitely check this one out. We now turn to Volatility. This is a Metroidvania, but by way of the style of the Metroid Prime games in a way. We are a strange being in a pocket universe that is collapsing in on itself. And in order to get out and uncover what's going on, we must explore, power up, and make lots and lots of combat and upgrades. The game itself is played both in isometric style, as you'll move around, jump, dash, I'm assuming double jump at some point, and then you can go into third person behind the shoulder for shooting, hitting switches, targeting enemies, etc, etc. You'll gain different jewels that will fit on your head, and these will give you various powers, such as being able to dash, shoot, and more, which can be upgraded using resources. Levels will have multiple secrets and things for you to uncover. There are boss fights and a lot of exploration to be had. The main thing that can be a little troublesome is having to shift between isometric and the third person. It can be a little jarring, and this is one of those games where if you're looking at something from the wrong angle, whether you're looking at it from the third person or the isometric, it can be very easy to miss a clue, a door, something that you need in order to make progress. But this is definitely a very high concept style game, and there is a lot of potential here. So if you are looking for a Metroidvania that is going to do a lot in terms of moving, jumping, shooting, and more, then I highly recommend checking this one out. For our next game, this is Yohane the Parhelion Blaze in the Deepblue. This is apparently a spin-off of a popular anime that I have not seen. I have no impressions on it whatsoever, but there's actually several other spin-off games being planned. But this one is being developed by Intel Creates, the makers of the Bloodstained kind of spin-off games, and they have certainly made a lot of modern retro-style platformers and Metroidvanias over the years. So this one is heavily inspired by Aria of Sorrow, Dawn of Sorrow, I think, as well, the Soma Cruz-led Metroidvanias. In this one, you'll summon various characters to help you and act as weapons and progression tools to explore this dungeon, save your friends, beat up bad guys, and stuff like that. As you'll explore, you'll collect a bounty full of materials and resources from enemies, which you can then use to craft new weapons, equipment, and accessories that act as your main form of kind of RPG progression. You are limited based on darkness points or DP whenever you use a weapon or a ally summon, and you'll have to return to a save point in order to refill. The game boasts again some really great pixel art, And the combat is on the interesting side. Each one of the friends that you rescue act as both a way of interacting with the environment and as another tool for combat. The character you unlock in the demo is this lady with a, I guess, water cannon? And she can use this to push blocks, and she can stagger or stun enemies who have shields, which works really well during some of the boss fights. This is looking like it's going to be a very lengthy Metroidvania adventure as well, as you'll need to find all kinds of your characters, return to previous areas. There's even randomly generated or randomly sorted areas you'll explore as well. So this game is probably not going to do anything that you haven't already seen from the Metroidvania genre, but it looks like it's going to be a very well done and very involved take. So if you do enjoy Metroidvanias, and there's a lot more we're going to be talking about over these videos, then this one should be on your list. We now have Ending Tao. I think I may have said that incorrectly. This is an action roguelike, where we are trying to save the jungle from corruption, with everyone else being turned into violent monsters and more. And in order to do that, we must accept the blessings of various creatures. The game itself draws comparisons to the kind of buff system of Hades, but this game does go a step further. Each buff belongs to a different animal, harpy, armadillo, so on and so forth. Wherever you equip the buff on your character will give you a different property. If you put the harpy power on your body, you now have wings and can fly around. If you turn your arms into the harpy power, your normal attack turns into a ranged shot. And of course, it's going to be very dependent on which essences you find, how you equip them, so on and so forth. There is meta progression in terms of finding people for your village. I don't know if there is persistent upgrades, at least from the demo. But this game is certainly looking like it's going to be a very well done take on action roguelike design. I love the visual design, kind of reminiscent of the very contrasting colors or very bright colors of Hyper Light Drifter. Now, we don't know how difficult this game is going to be in the full version or how far we'll go in terms of persistence or progression, but if you are an action roguelike fan, and again, if you enjoy the likes of Hades, then definitely check out the demo. We now have Songs of Silence. This is a kind of Heroes of Might and Magic meets deck builder style game. In a world that is being torn apart by war, we are going to have to go out and try and bring peace, of course, by taking out all the bad guys using our armies. The aesthetic of this game is really fantastic, with this kind of like, almost like hand-drawn storybook kind of look and feel to it. How the game works is that you'll decide how to upgrade various cities, determining what units you'll be able to build from them, what resources they'll gather, etc., which you will then create units that can be attached to your various heroes. Each hero is a unique character that comes with different spells and abilities that are represented by cards. They'll also have a limit as to how many units they can have in combat at any one time. Combat itself is handled pretty much automatically. The one control the player has is by dictating what cards they use when and where. And again, these are kind of like your special powers. You could summon a meteor to the field. You could teleport units, buff your armies, etc, etc. If you're hoping for like full-on like 4x city management, I don't know if this game is going to go that far in that respect. If I had any problems with it, is that it is a little hard to follow the GUI of it. This game loves to use a lot of small symbols that it can be very hard to figure out just by at a glance what something is. And your cards certainly don't help matters. While your cards are beautifully drawn, it can be hard in the heat of battle without having to constantly keep looking up at your tooltips as to what something is going to do. So if you are a fan of the Heroes of Might and Magic kind of formula, then this is definitely one worth checking out. But if it doesn't quite work for you, or if you're not a fan, then this is not going to be, I think, the right kind of game. But I am definitely interested to see where this kind of cards, cities, and combat will lead. We now have Anima Flux. This is a Metroidvania with the twist being that it is a co-op driven Metroidvania. You play as two characters who are exploring what appears to be the remains of a city that has been attacked by mutants and monsters. In order to save the civilians and figure out what's going on, they will have to work together to do this. Both characters are unique individuals. One is kind of your melee heavy striker, the other is your archer sniper. Both characters will be on the field at all times. Now, the thing about this game is that right now there is only local co-op. I do not know if they are going to put online in. There were talks about it on the forums, but the demo was only local/remote play. When you're playing the single player, the AI will cover the person that you're not playing as, and you can swap between the two at any time. Now, the idea of a co-op driven game is very interesting, and there's a lot of potential there. The problem, as I'm sure if you can probably guess by now, is that when you're playing the single player, the AI is not going to be able to do much in terms of advanced tactics. You see, the thing that this game does quite often is that when you enter a new arena, you'll set off alarms that will just keep infinitely spawning enemies until they've all been dealt with. But you see, the problem is when you're playing this with the AI doesn't quite know to focus on those things. And this can lead to some of these fights feeling intentionally or unintentionally grindy and frustrating because of it. And it does seem like this is going to be one of those games where the real way of playing this is going to be through co-op. And the single player may not have enough meat on the bones or may be as interesting enough to play it solo to warrant a full play. But if you do have a friend and you're looking for a Metroidvania experience to work together with, definitely keep an eye out for this one, because there could be something interesting here. We now have Cthulhu's Reach, Devil's Riff. This is an action roguelike that is playing kind of this isometric style. You and a friend, if you have them, have come to the temple or mysterious structure that is housing Cthulhu and all of its treasures. And in order to pay off your debt, you're going to explore and collect all the loot that you can see. The game itself features, I believe, procedurally generated levels. You'll be able to unlock new weapons as well as upgrade ones that you've already unlocked by using the gold that you pick up stage by stage. As you get further in, the enemies become more dangerous. You'll also unlock, I believe, like special abilities and other modifiers. The game felt okay to play. My one criticism is that the melee is super short range. Like, the enemy has to be almost on top of you to hit them, and the enemy is already using ranged weapons. Good luck getting in without getting hit. This is another game, much like our last one, where the single player content is okay, but it does feel like this game really comes to life if you get a friend to play with, and it does, I believe, already have set up for online multiplayer, setting up lobbies and stuff like that. So there is something here if you and a buddy really want to take it to Cthulhu and its minions. For our last game, we go to something completely on the opposite end of the spectrum after Lovecraft and Cthulhu with, and I'm hopefully not going to butcher this too badly, Snufkin Melody of Moominvalley. This is a game based off of the property which I am not familiar with myself, but this is a gorgeous looking, kind of like stealth, cozy adventure game. We return to Moominvalley to find that someone is setting up all kinds of parks and ruining the stability of the nature and land. So we are going to sneak around, take out those parks, and bring back nature, animals, and everyone to Moominvalley. As you have already guessed by the footage I'm showing, this game looks gorgeous. I love the aesthetic and art style here. In terms of gameplay, You'll go around each area looking for inspiration that will raise your kind of like music level, which will allow you to create little songs that will help the animals or that'll help you out in some way. The other gameplay is very basic stealth, as you'll go around the park trying to remove all the signs and avoid the guards that will try and bust you. This is a super low stakes game. We are not going to be doing anything that can be considered horrible or any kind of fail states like that. And this game definitely takes the coziness level to extreme heights. While it is certainly not going to be the game you're looking for a hardcore stealth adventure, this is going to be one of those games that's perfect for anyone to play with a kid, or if you're just looking for a relaxing and very wholesome experience. So definitely one to look forward to if you want to spend some time in Moominvalley. And with that, we are done with night number 2. There's still plenty more games to check out, so be sure to come back for our next part. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to do the YouTubing stuff people tell you to do. If you're interested in more of my thoughts on design, check out my books wherever they are sold. Visit our Discord and Patreon, and come back for daily discussions on game design here, and on game wisdom, where you some of the art and science of games.